So as I say, thank you for joining us today. This is our Getting Started with LifeQI webinar, and I have my colleague with me, Kerry, who's going to be helping me facilitate the call today, and I'll also be keeping an eye on any Q&As or anything that comes into the chat. We do really encourage you to pop in your question to the chat, or even just as a bit of an icebreaker, pop in your name and where you are and where you come from and your experience of using LifeQI at the moment, kind of where you are within your quality improvement journey, just so we can get some interaction within the chat. That'd be great. As I say, if you have any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A section. And then we have the chat as well, which Kerry will keep an eye on both. I will do some check-ins throughout specific areas within the session, just to check in and see what questions have arisen and whether we can answer them live during the webinar itself. Okay, great. So for those that are new to LifeQI, LifeQI is based on the IHI model for improvement. And these tools are seamlessly integrated into our platform to allow for a very structured way to run your quality improvement project. We work internationally with a lot of organisations and collaboratives that use the platform to evidence and document their quality improvement work that they are running. So today's session is all about getting you in, getting you started, and kicking off your first quality improvement project within LifeQI if you haven't already done so. And if you have done so, hopefully we'll just provide you with a few reminders or some hints and tips on some areas of this platform that you haven't used yet. The first things first, on the screen that you can see now is our website, which is lifeqisystem.com. So for those on the call that don't yet have a LifeQI account, but are looking to sign up after today, please do come to our website here and click on the sign up link. And that will then take you through our structured sign-up process that will ask you for some few key details and also where you work as well, because that will then direct you to your organisation for your verification process. For those that already have an account, all you need to do is come here and click on login, and that will take you straight through to your LifeQI platform. Just a few things on this page before we even go any further is just to highlight that we have a wealth of information available to you to support your use of the platform, but also understand how other organisations and collaboratives are using the system and the value that they are getting from the platform. So please do come in and have a look around. In our use cases section, you can see that we're broken down into 3 use cases that will give you a bit more information about how different use cases do utilise the platform. But most importantly is our resources section within the website here. We have some great blogs. All of the webinars that are coming up are listed here, and we have a dedicated help centre that has a wealth of how-to guides on each aspect of the platform. So when you are in the system and you get stuck and you want to refer back to any of our guides, they are here to help you, so please do use them. And we also have live chat throughout the platform as well, where you can contact us at the help team and we'll get to you as soon as we can to answer your question or query or support you with anything that you have. We also have a great how-to section here, which has some further improvement resources and also our improvement hub that you can come and have a look at. So we are here to support you, and there's a lot of information here to guide you through your use of the platform. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log into LifeQI, and what will happen is it will take you straight through to your start page, which is essentially your landing page of LifeQI, and it is personal to you. So this contains everything that you are part of and that you are running. So just in terms of navigation, on my start page here, you can see I've uploaded a profile image here, and you can see my job role and where I work. We've got a quick glance bar of my projects and where they are on the IHI project progress score. And I'll come back to that score slightly later on. Any people that I'm working with on projects and programs will sit here and be listed as people in my quality improvement network. If I scroll down, you can see the list of teams that I am part of, and teams sit under collaboratives within the platform. You can see how many teams I'm part of. I'm currently up to date on all of my requests, so I've got nothing outstanding. But if you have been invited to anything, any new notifications or requests will sit here ready for you to work through your list and accept them or decline them if you need to. So for example, if Kerry invited me to a project, I'd be alerted by email of that, but also when I come in here, I would have a request sat here ready to action. Just scrolling down, you can see the organisations that I'm part of, any groups that I'm part of, and then a list of my projects as well. So your start page is quick links through to everything that you are doing. Couple of other things, if you want to edit anything on your profile, just click on your initials in the top right-hand corner and you can see the sections here that you are able to update and amend. And it's also worth noting, on the start of every page, we have a Get Help link at the top. So if I click on Get Started, that will take me straight through to the Help Center that opens up in another window for me. So again, you can have your LifeQI account open and you can have the Help Center open in another window. And this will take you through how to get started. So how to kick off your project within the platform, which is what we're going to do today. So keep an eye out for those Get Help links that are listed throughout the platform for you for your ease. This panel on the left-hand side is what we refer to as the navigation panel, and it breaks down the platform into all the different areas. So the focus of today is going to be projects and kicking off a project. So I'll come back to that in just a second. But you can see here other areas of the platform that you can come in and have a look at. So you can obviously have, you can set up collaborative programs within the platform. You can have high-level discussions within the system as well. Analytics are where any dashboards that you have access to are stored. So do go in and have a look at what dashboards you have access to at the moment. Groups are where the full list of groups are. So you can search for other groups within the platform, and the same for people and organizations. So for example, if you're an NHS organisation and you're part of an ICS or an ICB, you could click on the Organisations tab and see whether other organisations within your area are using LifeQI and what projects they're running. It's a great way to have that collaborative space to work together and share expertise and knowledge. So as I say, we're going to be focusing on the project area and creating a project on this call. So all you need to do to come in and create your first quality improvement project or another quality improvement project if you've already created one, click on the Projects tab, and what will happen is you'll be taken through to a list of your active projects. You can see here my full list of 44 projects. Keep an eye on these filters on the right-hand side. When you first click into projects, these filters will by default tick to active and my project. So that's pulling through the projects that I'm working on that are active. Okay, so keep an eye on that because sometimes it does catch people out. If you want to open up your project search and understand what's happening across the quality improvement landscape within your particular country that you're using LifeQI in, untick my projects. And what this will do is open up a project search. Okay. Worth noting, when you create a project, you do set the privacy permissions on it. And by default, it will be set to only members can view, which means that only the members listed on the project are able to view it. So if you create a project within your organisation, that means by default, only anyone in your organisation can view it. No one outside your organisation is able to view that piece of work unless you open it up or give them access. You can tell if the projects are open or if they're closed by this little eye here. It might be a little bit hard on your screen, so apologies. At the moment, this eye is open, which means that anyone can view that project. If the eye is closed, it means that you do not have access to view it, but you can still see what you see on the screen here. So be able to understand the title of the project, the aim, where it's taking place, and the score of the project as well. If you don't have access to it and you clicked into it, you get a polite reminder that you are unable to view the full details, but you can request to join it, which will then go to the lead admin of the project to accept or decline. This is where you can come in and start to use LifeQI as a great knowledge base of quality improvement work that's happening and really start to share and collaborate on pieces of work. You can type in a keyword here, and then you can see the projects that will return as a result of that keyword. So this keyword is pulled through the title, the aim, or whether it's been tagged with that keyword. And this is where you can start to understand, okay, I've got an idea for a quality improvement project. I want to understand if any other organizations near me are doing something quite similar. You can start to really use LifeQI to understand that in more detail. Another way to search for projects is clicking on the More Filters section here. And you can see, for example, you can filter by project progress score, or you can understand projects that are being updated in the past 7 days or 30 days, those which have your organisational priorities assigned or do not, and so on. So you can get into quite a high level of detail to filter down the project list to make sure that you are returning and looking at the projects that you want to. So to create a quality improvement in LifeQI, all you need to do is click on Start a New Project, and the system will take you through a step-by-step wizard to kick off your QI project. Very, very straightforward. All you need to do is, as I say, the system will guide you through it. So in line with the model for improvement, the system will ask you these specific questions to identify the purpose of your quality improvement project. First up is the title, and you will need to add in a title for your project in order to go any further. That is a mandatory field. The next step here is the problem. If you can see, we've got an information button listed here. So for those that are new to the model for improvement or new to QI as a whole, the system will guide you through what to put into each of these sections. So for the problem, we're looking for a concise description of the issue to be addressed, and this should identify the gap between the current state and the desired state of the process or system. Or also we've got a nudge here to the 5 Ws framework if that's the process that you use as well. And these are free text boxes, so you are able to come in and add your text in here. And these fields are changeable. Once you've created the project, you can edit these, so please don't worry. We do encourage that you fill these in as much as possible at the beginning though, just so that you can gather that information from the start. The next step is, what are you trying to accomplish? So what's your aim of your QI project? Again, if I click on the information button, you can see the points to consider when constructing your aim statement, an example of a good aim statement and a bad aim statement. So just to help you define what your aim is. And then we have a section here for your rationale, which is a set of reasons for addressing your problem. And again, a free text area. Let's just keep this nice and simple. This step is where you define who's on your project team. So it could be that you are working with clinicians or other QI coaches or advisors that you want to invite to your project so that they are part of this project with you and they can go on the quality improvement journey with you as well. So by default, I've created a project, so it's put myself as the lead user and my organisation as the lead organisation. But this is where I can start to build out my team. All you need to do is click on invite new members, and the list will return a search of everyone that has an account within that particular system that you are in. And you can then start to search for people. So I'm gonna add in my colleague Jason. So all I need to do is find him within the platform, click on the plus sign next to his name. I can then give Jason a role within this particular project if I wanted to. The roles do not affect the permissions that that person has, but sometimes for reporting purposes, or if your QI team is structured around sponsors for each QI project that are happening across the organisation, for example, you can assign them that particular role so that you understand the permissions that they're taking on within your project. And then these are the permissions within the project itself. Again, by default, view and edit will be ticked, and that means that Jason is able to view the quality improvement project and also make any amendments to it. Because I'm the lead admin, I can upgrade or downgrade any of those permissions at any time that I like. If I give Jason admin permissions on the project, that means he's got the same permissions as myself, and he's able to add and invite anyone to the project, but also delete the project if he wants to as well. So I'm going to stick with view and edit and click on add. And then you can see Jason's now ready to be invited. And you can keep building out your team. It could be that you've got your division listed as a member and you want to invite them to the project and so on, so you're able to do that. If you're going to be working with someone that you know does not yet have an account within MyQI and you actually want to onboard them to the system as part of your project, all you do is click on Can't Find Someone, type in their email address, and then click on Send Invite. And that will then send an invitation to that person and will kick off their sign up to LifeQI. And once they're in and they're verified, they'll be able to get started and working with you on your quality improvement project. This section here is the privacy that I mentioned when searching for a project. And by default, it's listed as only members can view, which means only the members listed here on this panel are able to view the project. If you want to open it up, so essentially kind of publish it for the wider LifeQI community to be able to view the full details, all you need to do is click in the drop down and update that so everyone can view. And if you want to reflect back on what those terms mean, again, click on the information button here and it will give you some more detail around that. The next step is where you can categorize your project. So the majority of organizations that we work with will set their organizational strategic priorities or objectives on their organizational page. What this means is that projects can be aligned to those particular areas and then kind of the value and the evidence can be reported against. So what I mean by that, if I click on link a priority, you can see here for my hospital, we have 5 priorities listed on our organisation page. That means that if this QI project relates to any of those or directly impacts or is looking to improve any of those, I can tag it with that priority. So all you do is this project is about improving staff well-being and also improving health outcomes. You add those priorities to your project. Again, we've got an information button here on what priorities mean. And then on this section, you can also add tags. So tags are really helpful for searching and categorizing projects. So when I search for a sepsis project at the beginning, it will pull through any projects that are also tagged with that particular keyword. So organizations can use a number of different keywords to help categorize and again, report on. And we have a number of tags already created within the platform. If you can't find one, you are able to create your own. So it could be that this project is related to joy at work. So it's not one of our organizational priorities, but it is linked to that particular key theme. I can tag it with that particular keyword as well. And you can add as many tags as you like to your project. Again, these are changeable once you've created the project as well. So if your project evolves and it's now linked to more than 2 priorities, you can add that when you get onto your project general page. Then click on next. And the last step is when and where your project is taking place. The start date will naturally be today, but you are able to backdate that if you wanted to. And then you're also able to select your end date. So let's go for April. And I'm going to put in the location of this project. So it could be that your project is taking place within a specific ward within your hospital or a specific GP practice within your primary care setting or anything like that. You can narrow down a location here. And then once we filled in that wizard, you get a nice big blue create project button. I'm going to click on that one. And what we've done now is we have kicked off the creation of our QI project within LifeQI, and we'll be taken through to our project general page now, which is where we'll start to work through the QI tools that the system offers us. I'm going to just pause there and just see if there's any questions, Kerry, that have come through.
Hi, Erica. Yes, we do have one question. Do I need to create a new project or can I join an existing project?
Okay, either. So ideally create your own, but if there's a project in there that your team member or someone within your organization has started to create and you want to be part of it, you can request to join it. So all you need to do is when you click on the project, there'll be an request to join, and that invitation will then get sent to the lead admin of the project to either accept or decline. Okay, anything else?
No, that's it for that. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Great, so now we are taken through to our project general page. And this is how our project general page is structured within the platform. You can see we've got our title. We have what we call the glance bar here, which will in time give us an overview of the evolution of the project. And everything that we've just filled in that pop-up wizard is listed here in the details section. So if for any reason you do need to come and make any changes or update, amend, edit, anything, just click on the edit button and you will see all the fields that then become changeable. You can adjust your title, define your aim a little bit further if you wanted to. Also, if you needed to, you can see here this status of the project is currently active. If throughout kind of the life cycle of this project, I actually now need to mark it as completed or even cancelled, you are able to do that here within the status field. Just make sure you save any changes to anything that you do update. Then what we have here, as I say, we have our glance bar, and over time, this is going to give us a great indication of where our project is within its life cycle. One of the many benefits of LifeQI is that the projects are structured in the same way, so you're very easily able to compare and contrast where projects are within their life cycle. And what I mean by that, you can see here we're currently scoring a 0.5. The system's given me a nice nudge to create my driver diagram. There's no measurable PDSAs yet within this particular project. If I just show you a more advanced project that I have open on another page, you can instantly see how the glance bar looks a lot more mature. You can see an overview of the driver diagram, the measures and charts, and the ramps and cycles. So just by coming here, you'll be able to understand where this project is within its journey. And if you're supporting and coaching projects and multiple projects, just by coming here and taking a look, you can see kind of how this project stalled, what was the last thing that they updated, and you're able to have that instant overview of work that's happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work through the glance bar here to show you what each one means. So throughout the platform, we use the 10-point IHI project progress score scale for our projects. Each project will start at 0.5, which is the intent to participate, and that will happen by default. It's then up to the project teams to come in and ensure that the score is a true reflection of the work that's happening within the project itself. So really important to reiterate that that is a manual update on behalf of the project team. The system will not automatically update your score for you because you've added in more measures or more PDSA cycles. But it's also a really good habit for your teams to get into to make sure that their score is accurate. And all you need to do is come in, and if the project's scoring a 1.5, you can see the details of that and kind of the description that you should match in order to self-score yourself as a 1.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on change score, and that will then instantly update the project progress score on my general page for me here. Okay, so you can see that.
Sorry, Erica, can I just interrupt just because there was one question around this specifically? Yep. And it's around the cycles. So it's 8 cycles and 4 ramps. What do you mean by ramps? Just thought we'd clear that up.
So I think, Doris, you're referring back to this more populated project here, aren't you? So yeah, I will come on to PDSAs in just a second, but essentially ramps are a reflection of cycles. So within each ramp, there are a certain number of cycles. So if I can just pause on that question, I'll answer that in about 10, 15 minutes time, if that's okay. All right, it'll all make sense, don't worry. Perfect. So just coming back to our project here, we have our project team. This is everyone that we've kicked off at the initiation of our project. But again, you can invite or remove people as you advance through your piece of work. Sticking on this panel here, we have a project timeline, which gives you an overview on an audit trail of the work to date. So you can see here, the project started 12 minutes ago, and just a moment ago, I updated the project progress score. So you've got a good record of everything that's happening, or maybe that isn't happening if this project is stalled. So if I was coaching this project and nothing had changed for 4 or 5 months, I can come in here and take a look and then contact the project team and understand if they've come across any barriers or anything that's happened that is hindering them from progressing with this piece of work. You can also add to the timeline. So it could be, let's add on the status update today. We've had a team huddle about this project this morning. You can then add that to the timeline as well. So you can track everything that you are doing in order to get to the aim that you're looking to achieve. And you can also view that on a calendar view. You can see month on month how the project is progressing. This folder area is where you can upload and store any supporting information for your QI project. That could be some NICE guidance if you're working in the NHS, that you're working towards the NICE guidance as part of your project, or a slide deck that you've been working on as part of the presentation, or any reports, or any external data, anything like that you can upload to your project so that you've got everything stored all in one place. And lastly on this panel here is the project megaphone, and this is a great way to contact your project team all in one go. So it could be you've got 7 people on your project team, and rather than send kind of numerous emails, you can pop a message in the chat thread here, click on this blue button, and that will then send an email alert to your project team and encourage them to come back in and take a look at the project as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to kick off our driver diagram. So driver diagrams are built into LifeQI, so you don't need to build anything outside the platform. They are in here for ease, and they are fantastic planning tools for quality improvement. Again, if you need any help with driver diagrams or want to know a little bit more about primary, secondary, or change ideas, it's all listed here within the help guide for you. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to build out a quick one to show you how easy it is. So click on edit, and you can see the aim is pulled through from our project general page, but I am able to edit that if I need to. And then to build out our primary drivers, just click on the plus sign. I'm going to keep this fairly straightforward. So I've got 2 primary drivers. I then want to build out my secondary drivers. So I'm going to build in the more granular detail here. And then one for my primary driver here for reporting. And then your change ideas. So your change ideas are going to be your quick test of change that you're going to run through your PDSA cycles. So I'm just going to put run, keeping it fairly simple. and then click on save. And you can see Like UI has built that driver diagram out for us. Some driver diagrams and platforms are particularly large, so there's no necessarily limit on the size that you can do. Just sometimes bear in mind kind of the size of the screen and being able to kind of follow those drivers. What you can also do is you can color code your driver diagram. So all you need to do is click on the Manage Colors button here, and then we have a selection of different colors that you can use. And if you wanted to, you can also assign them a label. So I'm just going to do some few basic labels there for you. But again, you can customize those, and then you can come in and update your driver diagram. Lastly, on this section here, as you can see, sometimes the white text on a pastel color can be quite difficult to read, especially if you're looking to export this to present. You are able to change the color of the text to make that a little bit easier to read. And then again, just make sure you save any changes. Excuse me. Perfect. So it's starting to look a little bit more like a driver diagram now, but also this looks very neat at the moment because it's working from left to right. But I know for driver diagrams and working in quality improvement for quite some time, there will be drivers that interlink with other drivers, and that is the nature of quality improvement. So all you need to do, if there is a driver that links with a different driver, all you need to do, so I'll do it on this one, for example, click on the pin of the first driver and then the pin of the second driver, and that will then work backwards. So I'll just do that again for you. So admin training is also linked to governance, and reporting is also linked to training. So you can have those interlinking lines between the driver diagram as well. And again, just make sure you save any changes to your driver diagram. If your driver diagram is quite large, just click on the expand button and you'll see you can then work on it on a popped out screen. Just makes it a little bit easier for you to follow and for you to kind of carry on with the design and build of your driver diagram. And then what you can also do is view the history of the driver diagram as well. And again, this is a fantastic way to really understand the process of getting to where you are now within your quality improvement project. So you can see here 2 minutes ago, it looked like this. We then color coded, and then we added in those interlinking lines. So it gives you a good audit trail of the history of the driver diagram and also who made the changes to the driver diagram. So if your colleague has, you'll be able to see what they did and when they did it. And it's just a good way to reflect back on how far you've come and where you are now within your project. Lastly, on your driver diagram page, you do have the ability to export it off Life UI so that you can use this outside of the system. This means that you can download it as a PDF and you can upload that to any reports or slide decks or a presentation that you are giving, so that you don't need to create the driver diagram outside of the system. Okay, Karen, I'm going to pause there and just see if there's any questions around driver diagrams before I go into measures and charts.
No, nothing at the moment, but do feel free to drop any questions you do have into the chat, the Q&A. We're more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Okay, next page on our project is measures and charts. And this is where we are able to upload our data for our quality improvement project and really track the data over time to understand if the changes that we are making are having an effect on the system or process that we are doing within our project. So to create your first measure, you click on the new measure button. But again, before I go any further, we have a lot of information around measures and charts within our help center. I appreciate some of this may be quite new to some of you, and some people do find it a little bit daunting for the data, but we do try to make it as easy as possible to input your data and interpret your data within the platform as well. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to click on new measure. And again, like other aspects of the system, I've got a nice pop-up guide to take me through the process of creating a measure within Life UI. The first thing is to give your measure a title. So I'm going to add in the percentage of staff trained. That's my title of the measure. We are then asked to define our measure type. So in line with the model for improvement, the platform has 3 different types of measures. These are outcome, process, and balance. So depending on what you are measuring, you need to identify which type of measure you will be using. We then have a free text area here. for your operational definition of your measure. And this is where you can come in and describe your measure in more detail. And this section, I'll click on next, and the data collection plan are really, really helpful if you are going to be setting up the measure for someone else in your project team to come in and add the data to. It just means that they are completely aware of how the data is being collected, kind of what's that raw data process, how often do they need to be putting the data in, and so on. So again, free text areas, they're not mandatory. You are able to leave them if you want to, but it is good practice to add in some more detail here. The next drop down is our chart type. So we've defined our measure, we've got our process measure here, we have our title. The next thing is to pick the chart type that we'll be using for that measure. LifeQI has a number of different chart types that we can use at the moment. We are building on this suite of charts at the moment, but at the moment we have these ones in here. We've got a run chart, which the system will default to purely because it's the easiest to use and the easiest to interpret. But then we have a number of SPC charts that you can use depending on your data as well. This chart wizard will take you through a description of each of the charts, examples of where they're used, and the data that you'll need to capture in order to utilize that chart within the platform. So I'm going to use the P chart today. We then have to define our data collection frequency. So how often are we going to be inputting this data to our P chart? We have a few predetermined fields here, and we also have some custom fields as well. So if your data is going to be a little bit more sporadic, or you don't know the exact dates that the data is going to be put in, you can select custom unknown. Or if you're not going to be using a date field, you select custom no date. Again, we've got more information about that on our help center. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to select the monthly data collection frequency. And then lastly, we are able to align our measure to any of our drivers on our driver diagram. This really helps to kind of bring your quality improvement together and ensure that the data that you are collecting is working towards the overarching aim of your quality improvement project. So I'm going to link mine to my primary driver of training. And what will happen is that this measure will show on that driver on the driver diagram as well. So you can see that we are recording data against that driver. Click on create measure. And what we're taken through to now is our measure page. Okay, so next step for us is to add a chart. But before I do that, if I click on the plan tab, this just gives me an overview that we've just added in all the details here. So we've got the title, the measure type, the data collection frequency. And if I need to edit anything here, just click on edit and you will see the fields that become changeable for you to update and amend. So coming back into our measure and our chart, I'm going to add in some data now to show you how easy it is. So click on add a chart. We'll then open up what we call our LifeQI data sheet. So we're asked to give our chart a title. Click on add row. So remember we picked a P chart. So we're looking for, we need a date and we need a count and a total to complete our P chart. And what I have in the background here, if I just drag this up, is I have some dummy data here that I want to show you how easy it is to copy and paste from Excel into LifeQI. I imagine for some of your projects, you're already going to have some of the data that you just want to add in. So all you need to do is in your Excel spreadsheet or wherever your data is stored, copy the date, the count, and the total fields. So I remember I've got a P chart, so I'm looking for 3 columns. Don't include any title fields of your data, just include the data itself, and then come back into LifeQI and paste that within the first column, and then click on create chart. And what LifeQI will do for you is you can see that we've now got a chart created. We've got a spark line here of what the chart looks like, and it's already telling me that there's data overdue. So if I open up the chart itself, you can see that LifeQI has drawn this P chart for me. LifeQI will also do any of the heavy lifting. So you can see here for this particular P chart, it's identified that we've got 2 points of high variation. We have 2 outliers, and we have a trend within the data as well. And if you click on the sections here, you'll have a description of what each of those rules mean. If I scroll down, so this is our chart, and then we have the raw data sheet here that's feeding the chart as well. So to make any edits to your chart or to add in more data, just click on edit, scroll down to data sheet. I'm going to add in a couple of more data points now to show you how to do it manually. So it's very, very simple. And a couple more. The system will automatically detect that we need to update and redraw our chart. And you can see it's popped those data points here for me. A couple of other things around our charts is that we have 3 phases for our charts. We have baseline, test, and sustain phase. So in QI, ideally, you want to fix your baseline and then work through test the changes and see what effect that's having on the data that you are collecting, and whether your data over time is then showing an improvement or whether it's not showing improvement. To fix the data for your baseline, all you need to do is click on a specific point that you want to fix the baseline from. And again, please don't worry, we have multiple help articles around this within our help center. Click on next phase. And what you can see now is that the platform has fixed the baseline at that specific point. And then moving forward, we are in the testing phase. I'm just going to save that chart and quickly jump back in. So what you can see now, the center line has been fixed and it is now a dashed line projecting forward. All we need to do is to click on edit, and I want to now recalculate my control limits. Click on save, come back in, and you can see the system has updated the upper and lower control limits in line with the data points moving forward. So you're able to understand in more detail the improvement that your chart is having. We can still see we've got a trend here. We've now got high variation and we have 1 outlier point. Whilst in edit mode is, again, if you want to annotate your chart in any way to identify specific things that happen on particular data points, or also if you wanted to link PDSA to that particular data point as well, you are able to do that. Once you're in edit mode, click on your note, and I'm just going to put high number of staff working from home, so more people attended my training. We haven't got any PDSAs created in our project yet, but when we do, they'll all drop down here for you. And that's where you can really start to understand, are the changes that you are making having an effect on the system or process that you are recording? So that's where you can then come in and start to really understand your kind of the narrative of your quality improvement project. Click on save, and you can see we've now got my note attached here for me. A couple of other things on your chart that you can do is you can export the datasheet back off LifeQI into a CSV file if you wanted to. So this is the raw datasheet under here. Or you can also export the chart as an image off the platform again. So if you wanted to use that elsewhere outside the platform, you are able to do that. If I go back to my measures list, you will now see that we have 1 process measure defined there. And again, it's giving me a nice little hint that data is still overdue. So if I now jump back to our project general page of this project that we have created, you can see how the glance bar is starting to progress. We've got an overview of the driver diagram. We've just got our 1 measure and our 1 chart that we added in. And the next step here is to give our PDSAs to kick those off within the platform. This would always be a good opportunity to encourage your teams or yourself to come back in and just make sure that your IHI project progress score is true and accurate of the activity that's happening underneath the project itself. Kerry, any questions that I need to answer, or are you on it?
So there was one that came in, which I have answered, but just for anybody else that was wondering, somebody mentioned, can we use the system for practicing, e.g. like the presenter is doing now? The answer is yes. You would be welcome to come in. You can create a practice project in LiveQI so you can check out the functionality. If you do not already have a LiveQI account, if you pop into the webinar chat, there's a free trial sign up link there. So please do sign up to that and have a play around. Another question that came in was around focus groups. One lady is looking to run a focus group as part of her project, but she's never done that before. I have popped a link into the help articles around groups, but it would be good if there's anything you could add to that, that would be great. Thank you.
No, and I think in terms of running a focus group, if the group that you are working with could have access to the project as well, I think that would be highly beneficial. Also, what works well, it's a slight tangent, but is if as part of your focus group you're able to screen share on a call like we are today and pull your project up and actually work through it together and update your driver diagram and add in your data together as a group, I think that's a really, really powerful way to use the system and to kind of bring all of those ideas and that expertise together. So yeah, absolutely would encourage kind of a focus group as part of running your project within the platform. And what would work quite nicely with that is the discussion area within the platform. So I'll come on to that in just a second. I'm just aware of time, if that's okay. Just moving on then, we mentioned about PDSAs. So the next step within our project is to create a PDSA within the platform. So I always find it easier to jump over to a more advanced project to show you these. Just going to jump back into here. So the PDSA section within LifeQI is where you run your plan, do, study cycles. And just again, a bit of a refresher on the terminology that we mentioned earlier on in the call. Change ideas are listed on your driver diagram and they link directly to your secondary drivers, okay? PDSA ramps are a collection of cycles. So for example, this change idea is here, but you can see within this particular PDSA ramp, we have 3 cycles. I can tell that because we've got one completed, the second one's also completed, and the third cycle is in its planning stage, and you can see that by the quadrants that have been filled in. LifeQI offers a really, really logical way of running your PDSAs within your quality improvement project. And again, for those that don't know much about the plan, do, study, act cycle, please do check out our help center to kind of give you some more information on that. But the way it works is it's a great way to outline the changes that you're going to be doing and how you're going to be kind of reviewing those changes going forward. When you create a PDSA, you'll be asked for your plan. So that's the P section of the PDSA. As you can see here, we've got a very, very logical form that you need to fill out to be able to gather that information to put it into the platform. So we're looking for your title, your aim, and maybe some overview notes around your PDSA as well. And then you can link it to a change idea from your driver diagram. If I scroll down the page, you then have your do, study, and act section. So do is what happened when you ran your PDSA. Study is how does that compare to your prediction? And act, what are you going to do next? So these are processes that you will reiterate and you will refine and you will test and change every time you run one. So the benefit of using LifeQI is it allows you to track everything that you are doing until you reach your desired aim of your PDSA. You can have as many cycles as you want within your PDSA ramp. There's no limit on that. Some people will complete and reach their aim within one cycle. Some will take more cycles. It's completely dependent on the nature of the change idea or the piece of work that you are running. You can refer back to previous cycles at any point in time. So if it's been a while since you ran on your last cycle, you can come back in and check on version 2 or version 3 of your PDSA cycle and have a look at those. But this is how they're listed within the platform. So again, coming into a project or supporting any of your teams with your project, you can come in and instantly see how far along they are within the PDSA planning process and testing process. Lastly, within a project is a discussion area, and just coming back to the focus group section on it that we just mentioned as well. This could be a great way to bring that focus group together and have them all in one place discussing elements of the project. This is where you can come in and start new discussion threads if you wanted to with specific members of your project, or we also have the project notice board. This project notice board will be there by default on all projects and it pulls through the megaphone on your project timeline, okay? So it's an audit trail of the discussion and it allows you to attach a file if you wanted to. So it could be that Jason and I are working on a report together and I want to upload that to a discussion thread within the platform. I can do that and then we can talk about it within the system itself. So a good way to bring those focus groups to life and kind of get them into the system and get them part of the quality improvement project. Okay, I'm just aware of time, Kerry. I just want to see if there's any other questions. If not, I want to make sure that we don't keep people too much longer because I'm sure they've got another meeting straight after this.
No problem. There was just one that came in that said, could you show us practice one that's in action, projects, actions, create a personal project to practice. What I have done is go back onto that thread and just say that we do actually have a number of examples on our YouTube channel showing previous demos that might actually prove really helpful to show what information can be input. So what I've done is I've just left that link there so people can access the YouTube videos if they want to.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
And just to go back to that point as well, so that's back to Doris. So if you do want to come in and create kind of a test project, you can do a personal project within the platform. The personal project means that your organization does not have access to it. and no one else will be able to see it. So you can do a test kind of sandbox project within the system. That ability is there for you within the platform. But just to highlight, if you want to do a project that's part of your organisation, click on the normal Start a New Project button. There is that option there for you as well. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm aware we are a minute over time, so apologies, but I hope that gave you a good overview of the platform, coming in, being able to create a project and working through the improvement tools that Life UI has to offer. Please do go and check out our website and our help centre, and if you have any questions and queries, please do get in contact with us via the live chat function within the platform. And I'm aware we've got another webinar coming up in a couple of weeks that will focus specifically on the measures and charting aspect of Life UI. So I'm aware I gave a very, very brief overview. So if you'd like a more detailed webinar about measures and charting, please make sure you register for that webinar in a couple of weeks' time, and my colleague Sophie will be running that. But thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day, and hope we see you in the system soon.